Thank you all for being here today. And I'm going to be talking about things that are happening in the manuscript community within IIIF. I'm getting over a bit of a cold, so apologies if my voice comes in and out. As Tom mentioned, IIIF does a number of things for users of images on the web. And in the manuscript community particularly, one of the key functions is comparison. On the screen behind me here, you can see a copy of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales held at the Huntington Library in California. It has a companion that lives in Wales called the Hingert Chaucer. And 5 years ago, you would have to go to each of these institutions' websites to be able to look at the images. And of course, if you wanted to actually study the manuscript, you would have to fly to these two opposing places. With IIIF, however, we can bring these two manuscripts together side by side fairly quickly by importing the images into an external viewer. And here you can see we've brought in the Ellesmere Chaucer from the Huntington Library, and we can open up the Hingert Chaucer right next to it, and then navigate to a page that looks very similar eventually. There we go. And at this point then, we can compare in great detail, side by side, in the same application, these two 14th century manuscripts that are incredibly important for scholars of English literature and medieval literature in general. And we can go to the point of actually comparing hands between these two manuscripts. We see that they look similar. And we can look at specific details and have our students or our colleagues annotate these. So for instance, on the left-hand side here, we see that the scribe used the spelling April for the month of April, actually two L's. And on the other side, the scribe used Averyll. So late 14th century, April and Avril, French and English were still fairly commonly used between languages. This could have been the same scribe, but it's that level of detail that IIIF enables. IIIF has also allowed people to start building manuscript collections from far-flung institutions to bring them together to enable scholarship at specific locuses of study. In this case, the Machaut Society, an international society devoted to the study of a 14th century French poet and composer, has made all of the available manuscripts that contain works by Machaut available in one place using IIIF once again. That's about 38 manuscripts of about 50 that survive. We've still got 12 that we need to get into IIIF. 8 repositories and counting. The largest by far is the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, but the Bernburger Bibliothèque, the University of Pennsylvania, Cambridge University in the UK, all of these have provided IIIF Machaut images. So this opens up unprecedented opportunities for scholarship and study. We can bring students of Machaut to a single site and give them everything that was available. When I did my PhD 10 years ago, I had to look at microfilm for all of these manuscripts. It was a painful process. I often got carsick at the microfilm reader. And now we can bring these together and just look at them as if it was nothing at all. So institutions building collections is one of the things that we'll probably hear a lot about over the next couple of days. Parker on the Web was recently rewritten as a manuscript site with full IIIF capabilities, but it's by far not the only one. In fact, it's one of the smaller ones, so 500 manuscripts there. The BSB in Germany also has IIIF available, and you can see the IIIF badge on most of these sites that I'll be showing. Of course, the Digital Bodleian is one of the early partners in IIIF and have made many of their manuscripts available. Very precious manuscripts for scholars around the world. And the list sort of just goes on, including eCodices, another early partner. So what does this mean for the use of medieval manuscripts? And I'm using medieval manuscripts in many of my examples here, but this applies to all of the handwritten materials that we have in our institutions. In 2012 and 2013, this was the state of play for interoperable manuscripts. The largest collection by far was the Swiss collection, eCodices, which had about 1,500 manuscripts in it. And then the other big players included the Wellcome Institute, Parker on the Web, Digital Bodleian, all with hundreds of manuscripts available. Over the last 5 years, that landscape has changed dramatically as the bigger players have come on board. So the Vatican is now 16,000 manuscripts into an 80,000 manuscript digitization process. The BNF has about 15 or 16,000 manuscripts available. And I'm not including partners like the British Library and others who are starting to come on board. So this offers just an incredible array of content for users all over the world that is absolutely unprecedented and is bound to change scholarship in profound ways that we haven't recognized yet. So you saw this already. This is the example from Biblissima of reuniting cutout images from manuscript pages. We race at every IIIF event to be the first person to present this. Tom Kramer, you win again. I will move past this fairly quickly because you have seen it. Let's see, there we go. And move ahead to a colleague of ours, Jeffrey Witt. Everybody meet Jeff Witt. Jeff, are you in the audience? He was here earlier, so he may be hiding. Jeffrey Witt is a scholar, professor of philosophy at Loyola University in Maryland, and Jeff is the model scholar for the types of things that we're doing with IIIF. Jeff knows more about a certain kind of medieval text than many of us will know in a lifetime. Jeff works on scholarly commentaries, scholastic commentaries rather, and has built a site that leverages IIIF to provide information, transcriptions, translations, and editions for this very specialized type of text. You can see his work at the link here, mirador.scta.info. So what happens when Jeffrey Witt meets an institutional repository like Parker on the Web? In Parker on the Web, we had just enough knowledge to provide a very small table of contents for this manuscript. Jeffrey, on the other hand, knows a lot more about the manuscript. So if we bring his version of the table of contents in, we can compare them side by side. Here, Jeff has a whole list of chapter headings and sections of the book that are available, whereas Parker only had what's there on the left, that it was a Peter Lombard text. So from an institutional point of view, we love being able to open up content for people like Jeffrey Witt who know it so much more than we or our catalogers ever will. And also from the institutional side, we want to pull back Jeffrey's work. So how do we get what Jeffrey has done back in? Well, the nice thing is that Jeff is working in IIIF. His entire table of contents is there for us to pull back in. And so we'll work with the Parker librarian to curate that work, bring it back in, and expose it, crediting Jeffrey as we do it. If you are a manuscript scholar working in any textual materials that are handwritten, there are a number of sites that have toolkits available for you to work with. Oxford University, the Bodleian, has produced a fantastic package of tools that you can play with, including Docker images of IIIF image servers, and very importantly, a manifest creator. So the metadata that Tom talked about earlier can be modeled through their site, through a UI. I encourage you to look at that. The University of Toronto is also creating a number of tools for scholars particularly, including Omeka plugins, a collation visualizer, and other tools. As we head towards the end of this presentation, I wanted to build on what Tom was talking about with machine learning. As he mentioned, we now have millions and millions of manuscript images available. What can we do with them? Machine learning is one of the options. In an experiment at Stanford called Global Currents, we asked a machine learning computer vision lab to see if they could recognize features in manuscript pages that helped point to divisions in texts, including large and decorated initials. Using IIIF, the lab, which was in Montreal, pulled images from us, analyzed them, and sent us back URL snippets of the features that they found. And the results are pretty impressive. We can find text divisions now across about 500 manuscripts where we never could before. It would have taken an awfully long time for a cataloger to go through and find these. Every image that you're seeing is a IIIF URL being pulled on the fly and populating this page, but it allows us an opportunity to think about how we might navigate through our collections in a different way in the future. And finally, IIIF winds up being an invitation to do interesting new things with our cultural heritage content. Scholarly, serious stuff is all very fun, but how do we engage broader audiences? We can create games, we can create puzzles, and just invite people in to experience the materials as a gateway drug. Bring them in with the games, let them learn more later. That is a live puzzle, so go ahead and finish it at your will some other time, since I'm running low on time. And I just wanted to close by saying, first of all, thank you and welcome to this IIIF event. We're going to have a series of conversations with other community groups throughout the morning, but the IIIF Manuscripts community group welcomes you if you're interested in any level of handwritten materials. We will have a Birds of a Feather lunch today, we have monthly calls, and we have a very, I will say, we have a semi-active Slack channel and a less active email channel. So please join us if you have any interest. Thank you.